My gift is my soul, and this one's for you. Okay, we are back, and how fitting. I wanted to use that line / song, part of the song from Moulin Rouge, because tonight we are reviewing challenge number 22, a musical. And no, I'm not doing Moulin Rouge. As you probably already know, I almost never start my review quote with the movie that I am reviewing. Actually, I don't think I ever have. Tonight, we are reviewing Across the Universe. Wow! Blows my mind. Absolutely love it. But before we get into it, I want to do a few disclaimers. These videos are completely unedited and unfiltered, so if I sing really poorly, then I sing really poorly and we're just going to move on with it. And adult things will fly out of my mouth, trust me. So if your kids are in the room, you probably want to ask them to leave or put your headphones on. And lastly, there will be spoilers. Spoilers. This is not really a movie to give a whole lot of spoilers away for, although there are spoilers, yes. But have no fear, I'll put a list of movies, all the movies that I talk about, underneath this video, and I'll have a header that says spoilers, so if you want to avoid spoilers for anything, you can. Let's get into it, okay? Like I said, challenge number 22, a musical. Movie title, Across the Universe. If you don't know, I'll say this right now, if you don't know, Across the Universe, year release 2007, is kind of like, the reason why I open with Moulin Rouge is because it's kind of like Moulin Rouge. This is not original songs. These are all reimagined songs. Now, the big difference between Moulin Rouge and Across the Universe is Moulin Rouge is a bunch of songs from a bunch of different eras, and it's brilliant. It's wonderful. I love it. If you haven't seen it, watch it. It's fantastic. And they fit very well. This is all reimagined songs from the Beatles, or written by one of the Beatles, because I think maybe some of them weren't released when they were the Beatles. I don't think. Maybe. I might be wrong on that. Fact check me. But these are all songs written by the Beatles. And so if you're a Beatles fan, even if you're not a Beatles fan, you don't know any of these songs, it really is a great movie. But if you are a Beatles fan, you'll love it. You'll love it. My brother was skeptical. A brother of mine, he was skeptical because he loves the Beatles. Just like, we grew up on the Beatles, early Beatles, honestly. Okay, let's be honest. When we grew up, we listened to mostly the Red Album, hardly anything else. Every once in a while, we heard songs from Abbey Road. To be 100% honest, yes. My parents were fans of those, not fans of the later Beatles. I became fans of the later Beatles on my own because I started listening to stuff that they had put out later, Sgt. Pepper and the White Album and stuff like that. So I started listening to stuff on my own and really was like, holy shit, I love this stuff. So anyway, my brother was also a huge Beatles fan, and he was very skeptical about this. I told you, you gotta watch it, because I had already seen it multiple times at that point. He was skeptical, but when he watched it, he texted me and was like, this is amazing. He goes, I was dubious at first, but wow. And it is. Okay, moving on. Aspect ratio 2.35:1. Running time 2 hours and 13 minutes. Genre, drama, fantasy, history. I'm surprised that IMDb doesn't have a musical drama, a musical genre. Why isn't it musical first? I guess they don't look at it that way. I don't know. That's interesting. Rated PG-13. Date challenge completed tonight, February 3rd. And I'm hoping it is early enough. It is 7:40, so it's early enough. Hopefully I can get you the video tonight. I wanted to do it early on purpose. My rating is 4.5 out of 5 stars, 9 out of 10. Brilliant movie. A couple of little hiccups that I was like, but otherwise, brilliant movie. Love it. Starring, too many people to put here. I don't know all these people. I to be 100% honest, I probably had heard of very few. Like, Selma Hayek does a quick little thing. So I knew a couple of Bono, and Joe Cocker. There are musical people that that show up in this film. There are, a couple of Eddie Izzard. There are a couple of cameos that are like, holy crap. But the main cast, I don't know them. I didn't know them. I didn't know who they were, but they are too good not to give them credit and say their names. And that little line on there is just too small. So Evan Rachel Wood, wow, she's fantastic. Her voice is amazing. Same with Jim Sturgis. His voice is amazing. Does such a great job. Joe Anderson. Dana Fuchs, oh my God, I love her grittiness. The sound of her voice is amazing. And she sounds amazing when she sings with Martin Luther. He's credited in the film as Martin Luther McCoy, but on IMDb it's just Martin Luther. But anyway, those two sound amazing together. I love them. That's Sadie and JoJo, if you don't know. Amazing. T.V. Carpio, she's great as Prudence. And I also wanted to, who else did I want to mention? Everybody's great in this movie. I don't want to say anybody is not. I just wanted to say those names because they're brilliant, and I don't know who they are, but they did such a great job in this movie. Okay, moving on. Directed by Julie Taymor. Produced by Matthew Gross, Jennifer and Susan Todd. Written by Dick Clement and Ian... Ooh, you know what? I wrote this poorly. Written by writers. Ian Lefrenais. I hope I'm saying that right. Ian Lefrenais. I think that's right. Or Frenais. I think it's French. I might be wrong. Music by Elliot Goldenthal. Did a great job with the original stuff, and whoever put this together, God, if it was the writers who put this together, they're brilliant. They did such a great job, and I have notes to the effect of using the right song at the right time. A couple of times I was like, but for the most part, it's brilliant. Reimagining these songs, reinventing these songs, putting the emotion that you already feel right in your face with the actors, and these are all notes for later, with the actors portraying that emotion in that situation. Oh, it's so amazing, especially if you know the songs and you already have that feeling, and then it puts it in such a great situation, and it's just wonderful. Awards received. It was nominated for an Academy Award for costume. I don't normally follow Best Costume. I'm not saying it's not an important category. It absolutely is. But I don't, it's not on my top 10. So it's not like I can look up my Oscar list and say, what else was nominated? I just know that this was nominated. It won for Online Film and Television Association Best Music/Adapted Song for I Want to Hold Your Hand, which was performed in this by T.V. Carpio by Prudence. I was a little shocked, honestly. Okay, I got to be honest. There's nothing wrong with her performance. Her performance is amazing. There's nothing wrong with that sequence. That sequence is great. I love it. I have notes to the effect. It is a wonderful sequence. But is it the sequence that stands out in this film the most? Not to me. Not to me in the slightest. Let It Be is the one that is... I have notes to this effect. I'll talk about it later, but you could literally take the Let It Be sequence from when it starts to when it ends and make a music change nothing, cut the rest of the film and that could be an insanely impactful music video that could speak to anybody and everybody. It is amazing. Amazing. And the performances singing that song is like nothing I've ever heard. I have notes. I'll talk about it. That is the one that stands out. Not I Want to Hold Your Hand. I get I Want to Hold Your Hand. I get it. It makes sense. And anyway, I have notes to the effect. I get why they wanted to nominate that, but that is not the most impactful part of the film, in my opinion. Let It Be was. Why did you choose this particular film? I love the Beatles. Like I just said, I grew up on the Beatles. Almost every year, we took a trip up to the mountains. We lived in NorCal, so we took about a couple hour trip up into the mountains every year for summer for like a break. When we were on the road to the mountains, we always listened to the Beatles. Almost always, without fail, almost always listened to the Beatles. And so when I take a long road trip, at some point, I always have to listen to the Beatles. But like I said, my parents were fans of the early Beatles, the Red Album, all that early stuff, and a little, and you know, every once in a while we'd listen to the songs from Abbey Road, but not nearly as often as the stuff on the Red Album. So I grew up on early Beatles, and God, I know every single one by heart, like insane, you know, all of them. But when I grew up and started listening to the Beatles on my own, I would have, you know, Abbey Road on repeat. It's amazing. I fucking love that album. I would have the White Album. Like, there are multiple songs on the White Album I had on repeat over and over and over. And I have notes to this effect, like over and over and over. And not just all of those, but Birthday and Happy Birthday. There are other songs, too, that I had on repeat. I love these songs. Why didn't my parents listen to these? Like, what? You didn't? I love these songs. Okay, I get it. You know, the Beatles got into their drug use, and it showed in their music, and my parents probably didn't love that. They loved the older stuff. So anyway, grew up on the Beatles, love the Beatles, still love them today, still listen to them today. Are they my favorite? But they're up there. They're in the top 10, probably top 5. Probably top 5. Love the Beatles. And it just called to me today. For whatever reason, I was like, what am I going to review? I did 1999. I got to do something a little newer. And as soon as I looked at my list, I was like, oh, Across the Universe, for whatever reason, just kept calling to me. And I was like, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's just not hesitate and do it. Have you seen this movie before? Yes, I own it. I've seen it plenty of times. I did not see it in the theater because I didn't know anything about it when it came out in theater. Would you recommend this movie? Yes, absolutely, I would recommend this movie. It's PG-13, so just about anybody can watch it and understand it. You don't have to be a huge Beatles fan to get where they're coming from, because they use the songs so well that you might not even know. There were several songs in this movie. I was like, I've never even heard of that song. I have notes to the effect, I never even heard of that song. Like, I'm a Beatles fan and I haven't heard of that song. Well, what is that song? And they use it very, very well. So anybody could watch this, anybody, and enjoy it, I think. Which character were you most able to identify with or connect with? In what way? I've already said I don't like this question, and honestly, I just kept trying to think. I am extremely confident with my acting. There is childhood trauma, high school, not childhood, high school trauma, teen. There is high school trauma behind my singing, and so I am not nearly as confident with my singing as I am my acting, although I know I can sing. There are plenty of people who have told me I sing very, very well. Okay, neighbors, because I'm not thinking about them when I'm like belting it out and listening to music at home, and then, you know, you find out later on your neighbor's like, you sing really well, and I'm like, oh, shit, I didn't know you could hear me. I'm not like, okay, well, I should probably not leave the windows open when I'm belting it out. I was in a musical once. I performed in 2 musicals. One, I was just background, so it didn't really matter. But I was in The Wind and Willows, and I played the great and glorious Mr. Toad, and I did sing in it. But I also put on for that character, I put on an Ed Wynn type of voice, and it was very fun and very imaginative and very, you know, eccentric. I did that kind of a voice, so I had to put that into my singing, which didn't make my singing as great as I knew I could, but I had to leave it that way because the director wanted that character, that voice, because he found out that I could do that impersonation. He was like, yes, I want that for, you know, the great and glorious Mr. Toad. Yes. So anyway, circle back to, I couldn't find anybody that I wanted to be in this film because I'm not as confident with my singing, and I couldn't find anybody that I really identified with because everybody's in a situation I'm like, I don't fully understand that situation, but okay, whatever. So, and I was like, this is my least favorite question, so I really wasn't paying attention. So long story short, I didn't answer that one. Sorry, didn't answer it. Best line or memorable quote. Music's the only thing that makes sense anymore, man. to me, that stands out because this is a musical and we're talking about a time in history with war and, the Vietnam War and so much turmoil in the United States. Oh my God. I mean, not like we haven't had that before and not like we haven't had that after, but it really resonates. And when he says that, when JoJo says that, it just hits home because we're watching a musical. And when he says music's the only thing that makes sense anymore, man, it just hits home. I know some other people probably have their own, let me know. What lines do you think are more memorable? What lines in this film do you think are more quotable? You let me know. There are some good ones, but that's the one that stands out for me. Were you surprised by the ending? What would you do differently? You know what? Yes, there are multiple things I would do differently in the film, but not the end. The end is brilliant. I love it. I even love that they're not near each other. They're on opposite buildings across the... I love that. But it doesn't matter because it transcends. They end the film with All You Need Is Love. Yes, they do Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds in the credits, but they end the film with All You Need Is Love, and I have notes to the way they did it is brilliant, how they did it, and to end on that song after so much turmoil in this film is perfect. Perfect. Did such a great job. Do you normally enjoy musicals? Okay, here we go. Let's get into it. Okay, this is such a loaded question, and I don't understand where in my timeline as a human being this happened. Because as a kid, I loved musicals. I would watch, Disney movies all the time, which most of them are more or less considered musicals. Sound of Music I watched all the time as a kid. Oh my God, I had that on repeat. It was 2 VHSs, and I would boom, boom, and rewind this one, and rewinder, and watch this, and then, but I would watch that over and over and over. I loved it. And my absolute favorite is not that. My absolute favorite is Little Shop of Horrors. Oh my God, and I can do that voice. Just wait a minute, hold the phone. Okay, I'm not going to do that right now, but I can do that voice too. I'm a good voice impersonator of certain voices. If it's distinctive, I can hear it and get it and do it. Anyway, this is not the YouTube channel of me doing voice impersonations. So, Little Shop of Horrors, I have multiple pops behind me that you probably can't see because I don't know where they are. Over there and right behind, like literally always right behind me is that you can't see it. Aww. I'm just going to do it. Audrey 2 in the coffee can. Love it. Okay, I'm going to put it back. So, I'm a huge fan of Little Shop of Horrors. It's absolutely my favorite musical of all time. Okay, and as a kid, I would watch musicals all the time, and no problem. Okay, this is long way about saying somewhere in my... And it probably has to do with the high school singing trauma. I can almost guarantee you that's where it happened. And then from then on, it has been a struggle, literally a struggle, to get me to watch any new musical. Oh my God, this is fantastic. Everybody should watch it. And I'm like, nope. And years later, when I actually do watch it, I'm like, fuck, that was so great. I can't believe I waited so long to watch it. I love it. No joke. Rent happened that way. Moulin Rouge happened that way. Wicked happened that way. Burlesque happened that way. Okay, Burlesque is not really a musical. I mean, that skirts the line of musical, but literally I watched it with a friend and we were like so blown away we started it over and watched it again. It was so, whoa, and I'm not the biggest Cher fan or Christina Aguilera fan, but in that film they are both fucking amazing. Okay, whoa. And then Moulin Rouge also took me forever to watch. This one, as soon as I heard it was based on Beatles songs, I had no problem going, I want to watch it, put it in and watch it. Because I had never heard of it until probably a year or two later, somebody told me about it. And I was like, what? I want to watch that. And I fell in love with it right away. So that's a long way of answering, do you normally enjoy musicals? Which was a loaded question. For me, at least. Not for everybody, but for me, absolutely. And I still have not seen La La Land. I know plenty of people love it. And I'm still on that. Every time I hear about it, I'm like, nope, not doing it. I'm still on that. And one of these days, I'll probably watch it, and I'll love it. Watch. I don't know. I haven't seen it. Okay. Do you feel the film was enhanced by the musical numbers? Why or why not? I mean, this whole movie is about the musical numbers. It's about that. It furthers the story. So you can't have this movie without it. So why would you even ask that question of a musical? Absolutely enhances. Oh, yes, that's the story. That's the purpose of this film. Okay, anything else you'd like to say? Notes. I've got notes. And let's read for the first time, because I read it for the first time here with you. This little note at the bottom says, The Sound of Music, 1958, was the last of the Rodgers and Hammerstein musicals. Hammerstein died in 1960. Aww. I love The Sound of Music. I just said that, didn't I? Oh my God. I didn't know he died the year after. Oh, that's sad. Speaking of which, oh, my heart is broken. My heart... Carl Weathers, when I heard that, I mean, side note, I'm sorry, this has nothing to do with Across the Universe, but they just said, referenced, Hammerstein passing. Wow, when Carl Weathers, I know there are certain people that when they pass, it really, I feel it, and all I can say over and over and over is thank you for your contribution to film. Thank you for your, because I don't know you as a human being, I don't know you, but thank you for your contribution to film, because it was amazing. Where would we be without Creed? Where would we be without, so many characters that he played. I mean, Predator is one of my favorites, Rocky, Predator. I mean, anyway, I don't want to go off on a tangent. We're talking about Across the Universe, and we're celebrating music and the Beatles, who unfortunately not all are alive either. But let's not do the somber thing. We want to. This movie is fantastic. Let's talk about the movie. Girl opens up with one of my favorites as a kid. I honestly, I think it's probably still one of my top 10, 15 Beatles songs. I mean, it's hard to be like top 5. What are my top 5 Beatles songs? I don't know. I don't know if that Girl is in the top 5, but it's probably in the top 10 or 15. Probably. I mean, I love that song. And that it opens up on this, and it's so simple, and you hear the ocean. There's no real music. It's just him, a cappella. And I think it's a wonderful way to start it. He has a great voice. Use it and get us into, I'm telling you a story about it. This is about her, mostly. So, great way to kick off the movie. Great way. I already said that. Brilliant song choices for the story. Hold Me Tight. I love, they do this multiple times in the film. I'm going to mention it now, and I'll probably re-mention it a couple of times real quick. I love that they take one song, Hold Me Tight, and they use it in 2 completely different areas, and sometimes completely contrasting, like this. We have this high school prom going on one area, and it's so light and fun. And then we have the underground UK bar. I don't know what's PC. Am I supposed to say UK? Am I supposed to say English? I know I'm not supposed to say London because we don't know where we're at. London is just a city. So I'll probably say UK or England. I don't mean to offend anybody if I'm saying the wrong thing. Okay, so then we're in this UK dark underground bar where the band is playing and it's dark and blah, blah. So I love the contrasting sequences and the same sentiment, the same song, Hold Me Tight. Really well done. They do that multiple times throughout the film. What is this toast and butter as a snack? Is that an English thing? Is it? There are so many movies. Pink Floyd's The Wall. They're just Billy Elliot. There are so many movies where I see an English boy walk into his house, and the first thing he does is he grabs a snack. What is that snack? Toast and butter or toast and jam. I have never... I may have an English muffin in the morning with a little bit of butter, with butter and a little bit of, maybe marmalade or lemon. Anyway, I'm not trying to talk about my dieting habits. I'm just like, what? Is that like a common English snack to just come to your house and a piece of bread? And I can't eat that much carb to have that just as a snack. I can't. I'll blow up like a balloon. My body does not process carbs that well. Do English people is just like, that's fine? I mean, that's just... No, I'm wondering if that's... Is there anybody listening to this review who is from England, who is from the UK? Is that a common snack? I really want to know, because I've seen it in so many films, and I'm like, is that just an English thing? All the emotions, I've already said this, the beautiful emotions, the actors portray those, the emotions you already know from the songs, and it just makes this movie so much better. I Want to Hold Your Hand. I do love this sequence. Just because I wouldn't have nominated it, or wouldn't have stood out as that award that I said earlier, doesn't mean I don't love this sequence. And I knew, as a gay man, as a gay boy, I don't remember when I saw this, but I was well into my adulthood by 2007 when it came out, and I know I didn't watch it when it came out a year or two later. So by 2009, I was well into my adulthood. What I knew right away from TV Carpio's performance that she was not singing to the boy. When they show you and they're trying to misdirect you, and they got the football player boy and the cheerleader are together, I knew right away from her performance, just from her look and her stuff, it did not surprise me at all in the least that she was singing to the girl and not the boy, the cheerleader, the blonde cheerleader. And it's so well done that I get, if I wasn't gay, it might have impacted me more. I think if I were straight, I would have been, whoa, and that scene would have been more impactful. I'm so used to so many... The reason why I got hooked on Abbey Road and listened to it over and over and over is because there's so many longing songs in that. And I had a huge crush on this guy in high school. I'm not going to say his name and embarrass him. I'm not even going to say his initials. Like that would be dumb. I'm just saying I had a huge crush on someone who was straight and wanted nothing to do with me, of course. Didn't even want to be my friend, which is fine, whatever. I had a huge crush on this person, and those songs spoke to me, and that same look and that same longing was in my heart and in my soul that she has on her face. So not only did she get the point across that I understood, but she did it so fucking well that I felt what I felt when I was a kid listening to these songs about somebody I couldn't have. So it didn't surprise me in the least at all, but it was very well done. Very well done. Jude seems upset with his father when he goes and meets him. That first interaction, he seems very standoffish and upset. I don't understand the mentality of I'm not an orphan. I'm not a bastard. I knew both of my parents. I grew up with both my parents. I'm not saying that this emotion is not valid, not at all. What I'm saying is I don't understand how you can be upset with someone neglecting you who didn't even know you existed. He even has that line. If she would have just told me, I know he cuts him off. It's like, well, what, would you come back just out of obligation? Well, yeah, I would have helped in some way. Why? Because you're mine. I would have taken on that, I would have taken on that responsibility because that's my job, is to take on that responsibility if I have a kid. So if I knew, I would have done the right thing. It's not about loving her or not loving her. That's not the point. The point is, if I had a son, I would have taken care of him. And he tries to say that. How is that? Why are you angry at that? That doesn't make any sense. Why are you angry at that? It's not a major plot point. It comes and goes real quick. It's no big deal. I was like, why is he upset? He didn't even know you existed. Why are you mad at this person? I don't get it. Anyway, Moving on. With a little help from my friends. This is one of the few songs, 2, maybe 3. This is one of the 2 or maybe 3 songs in this film where I went, I don't understand why we have this here. To me, it doesn't further the plot. To me, I'm like, I get that it fits. It makes sense. The sequence is beautiful. I'm not saying the sequence wasn't good. Don't misunderstand when I critique something. When I have a slightly negative critique about something, don't misunderstand that it was really well done. It was very well done. But I was like, why do we need this? And I love that song. Great song. I listen to it all the time. It's not that I didn't like it. It's that I was like, why? And then there's like, I have notes to a couple other songs, I think. 1 or 2 other songs I'm like, I don't get why that's there. I have, okay, on the same note of it's beautifully done, I have always envied dancers and people who can perform that way. I didn't have dance sequences in The Great and Glorious Mr. Toad. We didn't have big musical dance numbers. Excuse me. I have always envied people who can do that. Because it looks beautiful when you're doing it well. Wow. Like just, I can't do that. I've had a disease in my knees since I was a kid, so I have bad knees. I used to be really, really fat, so I was not very well. I didn't move very well. I was very flexible. I took martial arts when I was a kid, so I was very flexible. But I didn't move very, very well, I guess. I'm not much of a dancer. I don't go to the bars and dance. No, not me. I love and can do fight choreography. I choreographed sword fight scenes in theater that people came back 4, 5, 6 times just to watch the fight scene because I had been involved in the choreographed it. So I know I can do it at fight scenes. And I get that there is a similarity between fight choreography and dance choreography. It's not the same emotion, but it's the same thing. You've choreographed it. You know where to be and how to be and where to go. I just can't make myself look that. I don't know. It's definitely different, and I know I can't. I would have to train for a year in order to do one of those sequences. That's what I feel like. I feel like I would have to train for a year in order to do one of those sequences. Do not cast me in that role. I would not be able to. I would not be able to do it. Could I do Ewan McGregor in Moulin Rouge? I mean, I probably could do that. Some of those voice ranges are a little bit high out of my range, a little bit, but you could adjust that, I'm sure, because he doesn't do any major dancing. But in this, everybody does major dancing, and it's not everybody, but most people do, major dancing, and it's gorgeous. They all do a fantastic job, and I envy the shit out of them because they can do it. I've just seen a face. Here is the first song where I've never heard that song. Whoa! I love this song. Like, I've never heard that song. I love it. I love how they used it. I'm like, whoa! And now, unfortunately, I have heard the original. I went, okay, you know what? I can't hear anything but Jim Sturgis singing it in Across the Universe because that's how I was first exposed to that song. I was like, oh my God, how could I have never heard this song? It was a huge song, I'm sure. And I can't believe this is the first time I ever heard it. Or knew I heard it. I was like, what is this song? This is great. It's fun. It's energetic. I love it. And I also love how they do it in the bowling alley. That beautiful dancing along the bowling strips or whatever you want to call it. And the colors. I love the colors that they use there. It's such a great sequence. It really is. And a great song. Maxwell's Silver Hammer. Another one of my probably top 10, 15, I don't know, 10, 15. One of my top favorite songs. Love that song so much. And I was a little sad that they couldn't actually put the song in here, but I love that they mention it. Sadie says something about, oh, you could have, murdered your granny with a hammer, and it's Max. Of course, I like that they incorporated it, but I was a little sad that they didn't actually use the song. Okay, here we go. Let's. I have been as raw and open with you as I possibly can about who I am. This is not me as an actor on here. This is me as me talking about film because I love film. Film is my absolute number one love in this world and probably will be until the day I die, until the day I move on from this world. Okay, so I'm just being open and raw and honest with you about everything. And I have to say, if you want to see me blubber like a little boy, a little kid with a skin knee, if you want to see me blubber I can't even, if you want to see tears and snot and okay, let it be. The part in the film is, oh my God. The part in the film will blow you away because every time I see it, I just start right away. I start crying and I'm just and I have to hold back because I want to hear it and I want to see it. I want to see what they did. And I remember watching this for the first time and it was like an arrow through my fucking heart. It was like a shot in my chest. When they showed the little boy in the coffin, and you realize that's the boy who started the song, and you're like, holy shit! That's who we're having the funeral for. The little boy who started the song. And you're just it tore my heart open and I couldn't believe it. And that woman who sings, God bless it, she has an amazing voice. And it's just, I have never heard this song better. I love the Beatles. I do. I will listen to them forever because they're one of my favorites, absolutely. But there are two songs in this movie, and this is one of them that I'm that was meant for you. When she sings this, the power that she has, the emotion that woman has, and I want to look her up because it's so... Carol Woods, you are fucking amazing. Your performance of Let It Be speaks to my soul, tears my heart open. You are amazing. And even when I don't watch the film and listen to it and it shows up on my iPod, I have tears. Sometimes they don't fall, but they are in my eyes because the raw emotion she brings to this song is insane. And then I remember the emotion of seeing that on film. Yes, again, I don't want to neglect that this song has two parts to it. Like I already mentioned when they did Hold Me Tight. There are two funerals going on at the same time. The one is the little kid, the little boy, who started the song. And I'm going to say his name. Timothy Mitchum. Timothy Mitchum starts the song. That's the one that impacts me the most, is when we see him in his storyline in that song, Let It Be, and her performance of it, because she's the one singing at his funeral. Okay, that one impacts me the most. But the other storyline is Lucy and her boyfriend, Daniel, and he died in the war and has come back, and she's distraught. The whole family is. I'm not trying to undermine that storyline at all. All I'm saying is what hit me the most, what impacted me the most, was the little boy who started the song and ended up being the one in the casket. Yeah. I would say even if you don't watch the whole fucking movie, who hasn't heard Let It Be? Most people have. It's been covered a couple of times. Not a lot, but a couple of times from what I know. Even if you don't watch the whole movie, just watch that sequence. Look it up. Just watch that sequence. Beautifully done. Like I said, you can cut it out and make a music video that's just amazing. And right after that is the second song where I'm like, that song was made for that person. I love the Beatles. I had Abbey Road on repeat. Come Together is one of my favorite songs. Speaking of covers, Come Together is probably the most covered of any Beatles song. So many people have done it. I have it on my phone. Multiple people, Michael Jackson and so many people have redone that song. And I have like 3 or 4 versions on my phone. So I know it is probably one of the most covered of all of their songs. But Joe Cocker, hearing him sing it is like this song was meant for Joe Cocker's voice and emotion, and it's perfect. He is brilliant with this song. Wow. Even his emotion, even the way he moves. Brilliant. Brilliant. Come Together, Joe Cocker, best version ever. Anytime I ever hear anybody else do it. Who did the cover in the DC movie Justice League? I forgot who did that cover. That's a good cover. I like it. I like the Michael Jackson cover. I like the other songs I've heard, but Joe Cocker is in my opinion, like, that was made for you. That was made for you. Much like when I listen to Cyndi Lauper sing At Last. It speaks to my soul, absolutely, and I'm like, that song was made for her voice and her style. In my opinion, again, it's so that was made for you. Love the way Cyndi Lauper sings At Last. Wow. Moving on. Prudence. She came in through the bathroom window. I like that they mentioned that. Like I said, Abbey Road, I had it on repeat, so I know all the songs. So when they mentioned that, I was like, oh, that's cool. I like. She came in through the bathroom window. Why don't we do it in the road? Oh, my God. Dana Fuchs as Sadie. Her voice is just fucking amazing. Does she have an album? Because I would listen to her album if she did. Because I love her voice. She has a grittiness. She reminds me of... she's supposed to be probably oh my God, my mom would smack me in the back of the head if she knew. I can't remember the name of the artist she's supposed to sound like in that era, in the 60s, 70s, 60s. Oh man, I'm not going to come up with it, and trying to think about it, I'll probably get further from it. But I love her voice. It's so gritty. It's wonderful. Her style, her energy reminds me of Nika Costa, which I love Nika Costa. I love women who are like, just do their own thing. Alanis Morissette and Nika Costa, they both like hit chords for me. And Dana Fuchs sings like that. She hits chords for me. Like, I love that she's just doing her own gritty thing, and it's fantastic. She can sing. Wow. And that song was new to me. Like, I had never heard that song before. I actually have not looked it up to listen to the Beatles song. Why Don't We Do It in the Road? I left it alone. When I hear her sing it, I'm like, I love how gritty it is and wonderful it is. I love the Beatles, and I don't need to listen to the original. Okay. Probably one of my favorite sequences, not songs, because Let It Be is absolutely, in this movie, absolutely. But probably one of my favorite sequences, is I Want You. She's So Heavy. When he goes to the recruiting, that is just blew me away. When I first watched it, I had to interrupt and be like, it blew me away so much, I literally rewound it and watched it again. I was like, whoa, because I know all these old songs. I love that song. I listen to it all the time. And then just to see it completely opposite from the emotion that I know. Like I said earlier, getting the emotion in there that you already know opens you up, and you love this sequence because they get it and the actors get it. But when they take the emotion that you normally feel and take it in a 180 direction and do something completely different with it that you never would have thought, is this. And you're like, wait, that song is about love and I want her, and that is not how they portray it in this, and it is amazing. Whoa! It blew my mind so much. Literally, I just said I had to rewatch it. Probably one of my favorite sequences in the entire film. The dancing choreography is gorgeous to watch. Again, so much envy because I can't do that, but it's so gorgeous. Joe Anderson, fluid, and his emotion and his expression. Wow. But I can't take anything away from everybody else too. Sometimes I find myself not watching him because everybody is so amazing in that. The makeup of the army officials, that oh my God, I love it. Whoever thought that and then executed it that well. Wow, the makeup is wonderful. The moving floor tripped me out. I was like, holy shit. And I really had to whoa, that's the floor moving. And it wasn't computer effect. It literally is a belt on the floor. And then it carries into Vietnam. Holy shit. And the fake, palm trees and whatnot in the dirt. And then them carrying the Statue of Liberty. Whoa, carrying the Statue of Liberty? And the vividness of the colors, it's just so well done. I fucking love that sequence. Wow. This is why this movie is so damn good. And I swear, if you're a Beatles fan and you have not seen this movie, watch it. You will not be sorry that you watched this film. It is fantastic. Fantastic. Prudence. Dear Prudence was so well done. Perfect. The situation, you couldn't have asked for a better situation. There are so many songs in this. Not so many. There are a number of songs in this, Let It Be, where you couldn't ask for a better situation in the film to perfect. This is where we want it. And it works brilliantly, and Prudence was perfect with everybody singing it and trying to get her out of the closet because she's depressed because she's in love with Sadie and Sadie's straight. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I just love that sequence. And then when the three of them, Lucy, Jude, and Max, are standing in front of the windows, and the sky's it drops almost like the apartment building is shooting up into the sky, and then when they change everything, even the walls, everything into the blue sky with the clouds, it's so well done, so beautiful, so well done. I love that sequence. Bono. When I saw Bono, I was like, oh, he's in this too. Fucking, we already had Joe Cocker, now we got Bono. And to give him "I Am the Walrus," which is one of those songs I loved. Okay, so like I've already said, the later stuff I came into on my own. My parents were not a huge fan of the later stuff. I was. When I heard Sgt. Pepper's, when I heard the White Album, so many songs on the White Album. I'll probably talk about some, but Helter Skelter, Birthday, Revolution. There's so many songs on that album. It spoke to me, and I loved it, and I listened to it all the time, over and over and over. And "I Am the Walrus" is absolutely one of those songs I listened to over and over and over. Had it on repeat. Loved that song. It just spoke to me. It did. And when Bono's doing it, I was like, and yeah, I flipped out when I saw that. And then when they did that sequence, when they did all that negative color, I was like, this is the best. This is perfect for this song. Love it. I love that sequence. Love it. Deep into the 70s. I wasn't alive in the 70s, but I get it. 60s, not 70s. Deep into the 60s. Well, no, I guess that was the 70s. I may be wrong. I wasn't alive then, so if I'm getting it wrong, I'm getting it wrong. But the psychedelic movement, I thought was the 60s. And it just totally speaks to that psychedelic movement. It's just brilliant, wonderful, and I love it. I love it. Eddie Izzard. So I flipped when I saw Bono, and then the next major sequence, Eddie Izzard. I fucking love him, and I was like, Oh my God! So again, I flipped. I was like, Eddie Izzard, that's great. And his little, another song I had never heard of, I still have not heard, for the benefit of Mr. Kite. So I wonder, he does such a great job. I mean, he's so brilliant in that. And he takes not his own emotion in there, and it's fantastic. Is everything that he says the song? I don't know, because I've never actually heard the original song. So I wonder, like, some of the things he says in that, is that really the song? Is that all from the song? One of these days I should probably look it up and listen to the song and go, is that all in there? Because everything else, literally, once they get into the song, it's all about the song. So I'm like, was that really written by the Beatles? That's okay. And as far as plot, I love that Prudence has found her place, because she's very out of place the entire film until this point. And we see Prudence there. Is that Prudence? Oh, it is Prudence. Oh, yeah. And then she has a girlfriend, and she's a contortionist. It's so sweet. I really love that they found a place for her and didn't have that, like, perpetuate through the entire fucking film where she's... Anyway, the one gay person, the one LGBT person is like fucked the entire film. No, I love that she found her place. And that's great. Wonderful done. And I didn't make a note of this, but I want to say it because I thought about making a note and then I didn't, and I don't know why I didn't make a note. Because I almost feel like, why are we doing this? I get we have to transition from one place to another. I like the opening sequence when they're all in the grass and they do because, and I'm like, done. We don't need any more. Excuse me. We don't need any more. They got the point across. We need to transition into something else. But all the underwater, naked, not naked choreography under the water, none of that made any sense to me. I'm like, why are we doing this? I felt with a little help from my friends, I felt why are we doing this? That first opening, and we could have cut it in the grass. That would have been brilliant. Cut, go to black, move on. I don't get this underwater thing. I know some people love it. I get it. I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it ruins the movie for me. It just makes me go, okay, why? Okay, let's move on. To me, that's how I feel. Something. Okay. Again, if I were a director, which I'm not, the beginning of the film, we start with Jim Sturgis, a cappella, Girl. I love that song. Wonderful. One of my tops. Something is not one of my tops, but I love it. It's a great song. Again, it's another one that, I listen to on repeat. Abbey Road. Abbey Road? Oh my God. I'm like, I've had 2 drinks tonight and I'm like, is that on Abbey Road? I'm almost sure. I mean, your first instinct is normally the right. Yes. Your first instinct is normally right. Like, I don't remember if I'm the Walrus was on Sgt. Pepper or the White Album. But I do remember, it's just instinctual, something is on Abbey Road. Yesterday is on the Red Album. Anyway. Something. Not one of my top, but I really like it. I like it a lot. Listen to it a lot. Because I had that album on repeat for years. For months. Years. Months. Like the opening of the film, they open something with him. She's asleep. Lucy is asleep. And he's doing a doodle of her, doing a drawing. And he starts something. And it makes sense. And it's so moving and beautiful that, in my opinion, the music distracts from that. I really wish they would have pulled way back, either way back or not at all on the music, and just let him do it a cappella. Because she's asleep. and he's trying to be quiet. And I think it would have been more impactful if he would have sung that song a cappella, or maybe you don't need the whole song. You get it, the first verse, second verse, and then let's fade and have her wake up. If I were a director. Not saying what they did was wrong. I'm just saying, to me, it feels like that should have just been a cappella. Pull the music back. The music distracts a little bit from what he's trying to convey, in my opinion. I'm not a smoker. I think I said this in another video. I'm allergic to THC. Which, yes, I know not a lot of people are. And when I tell people, they are shocked. Yes, I get it. But yes, I am allergic to THC. I am not a smoker. I don't smoke cigarettes. I mean, for a while there, I smoked hookah. I enjoyed that. That's fine. Every once in a while, I'll have a cigar. My family makes cigars, award-winning cigars. My grandpa's cousin, I think, in the Dominican, the first person to make. Anyway, not talking about cigars. Every once in a while, I'll have one. I'm not a smoker. So, but I have to say, much like other sequences I've talked about in my other videos, there are sometimes just a sequence that's so beautiful. Oh my God. Now, there are some that I would love to have like on my wall. This is not something I would love to have on my wall, but watching it is so gorgeous, so beautifully done that I can't not go, wow, that's really done well. And when he goes into, after something and she complains or whatnot, and he goes into, no. This is when Pedro comes over, her friend comes over, and brings the TV, and he's like, this is my studio, and he goes into his room. I think that's it. Right before Strawberry Fields. And he smokes a joint. He starts the joint. It's gorgeous. They captured something gorgeous. Not when he takes the puff, but when he pulls it away and he slowly, the camera moving, the look of the smoke coming off it, the two different colors. On the back, it's very gray. In the front, it's very, from where the tip is, the glow, it's very blue. And then when it slowly comes out of his mouth and he's backing up, it's gorgeous. Gorgeous. I am not a smoker, but I can appreciate that beautiful sequence. I don't do drugs. I don't inject drugs, but Pulp Fiction, when he does that sequence is gorgeous. When he unzips his little thing, when he puts it together, when he shoots up, when he aspirates and then shoots up. Wow, that sequence is beautiful. I'll review that one of these days. But this as well is so I have no frame of reference for it, but it still is beautifully captured. Beautifully captured. Speaking of beautiful, Strawberry Fields. I never would have thought to do this. This is an artistic direction, an artistic caption. What do you call marketing? This is something I would never see because I'm just not creative visually. But this gorgeous, where he tacks the strawberries on that canvas, it's beautiful. I don't know why, but it is beautiful. And I'm just like in awe of it multiple times. Not all the time. There's a couple of sequences where they show it and I'm like, that's not what it was before. Because I'm sure they did it multiple times. That's not what it was before. Like there's a couple of times they captured it and it's like such a beautiful piece of art. How can somebody look at Rothko? Okay, my best friend Rachel, her favorite artist is Rothko. To me, it just looks like blocks. But she sees something. Absolutely. Why would it be your favorite artist if you didn't see something that spoke to you? I get it. To me, it looks like blocks of color. It makes no sense to me. She sees it for what he painted. This, I see it. And I'm like, I don't know who did that. But those strawberries all in a line, tacked and bleeding, is just like, there's something gorgeous about that in certain sequences. I'm just like, whoa, I would love to have that. I would love to have that piece of art on my wall. I would. As weird as that looks or sounds, to me, I was like, it spoke to me. It was like, whoa, I love it. And yes, not just that little piece of art, but the situation also, the strawberry fields. I don't know if I quite understand how they used it. Excuse me. How do I say this? The lyrics. To me, the lyrics are not quite in conjunction with what I'm seeing, but how they're using the song kind of makes sense. If that may, the two sequences, the two emotions, the Jude in his studio and Max in war, I get the dual usage, but I'm not sure how the lyrics further what we're watching. But still, I that sequence is really well done. Really well done. Revolution. The first time I watched this, I will admit, because I love that song so much. Again, another song that I had on repeat. I have to admit that when I first saw this movie, that sequence was like, they kind of threw away that song. They fucking threw away a great song. I fucking love that song. And they used it. He just kind of threw it and then kind of... What? I will admit the ending was brilliant when he's like, all right. And it transitioned really well to the end of the song, the end, and how it... Yes, I get that. But when I first watched it, I felt like they threw away... They didn't really use that song how it could have been used when I first watched it. That's how I felt. Oh, man, that's all you used it for? Come on. You did such a great job with so many of the other songs. This is such a great song, and you... I have changed my opinion. I get it now, why they used it there, how they used it. It makes more sense to me now when I understand the whole of it. And I'm like, okay, I get it. They didn't throw it away. I still think they could have used it a little better, but I also get how they used it and why they want to focus on it, and so they stay simple as possible to focus on what they're focusing on. I get it. It's a good sequence. It's just the first time I saw it, I was disappointed because it's such one of my favorite songs, or one of my one of those great songs, and I just went, oh, you could have used that better. While my guitar gently weeps. Holy shit. Martin Luther McCoy, as he's billed in this movie. Martin Luther. Wow. Boy, if you're playing that guitar, you can fucking play. And you can fucking sing. And the emotion he brings to that song. Yes, I knew that song before. But when I heard him, I felt him. I was like, holy shit. I felt the emotion a little more. Because you know what the song is about. And you already know that. But he brings so much more to it. And the film and the situation also brings so much more to it. You get it. You feel it. And it oozes that emotion. It's so emotionally charged when he sings that. And it breaks your heart. Well, I mean, just wow. Helter Skelter. Again, Sadie's. Helter Skelter was another one of those I had on repeat. Loved it. Okay. And I love to just crank it and just like, fuck yeah. Because it's so different than anything I've ever heard. At the time, it was so different than anything I had ever heard the Beatles. I was so, grew up on the Red Album and Abbey Road that Helter Skelter blew my mind. I was like, holy fucking shit, this is the Beatles? And so I listened to that a lot. But this sequence with Sadie going backwards is gorgeous because you're conveying Helter Skelter, and then the two images of her coming together, it's gorgeously done. That reversal and that craziness. But equally as brilliant is to mash it up with Across the Universe. Whoa! Two completely different emotions, but perfect for the situation in the film. Perfect, because of how Max is feeling and what he's going through, but also what Lucy is going through and the turmoil and the country and what Sadie is going through, having left the band and blah, 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 and it's not working out the way she thought. And that sequence is is done very well. That mashup, that turmoil of all those emotions, very well done. Helter Skelter and Across the Universe. Wow. I mean, like, you guys did a really good job with this film. This film, 9 out of 9, or 9 out of 10, you know, 4.5 out of 5. It deserves it. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. Happiness is a Warm Gun. This is another one I'd never heard of. What? That's the Beatles? I'd never heard this song. But, oh my God, it is brilliant. Another one of those, like, I Want You. The sequence is gorgeously done. Gorgeously done. Selma Hayek shows up. I love her. But also, like, the father, the priest or whatever, and the dancing and the beds on like a rotating wheel. Really well done. Really well done. And that song was like, I mean, all about the PTSD and the warm gun, the injection of the medication. You know, happiness is a warm. He wants that medication. The PTSD is fucking with him. It's so well used. I didn't know it was a Beatles song, and so it was like, did they just write this song? When I first watched it, I was like, is this original? Did they write this for the movie? And everything else is the Beatles? But no, you look it up and you realize, no, these are all the Beatles. All of this song, yeah. But I didn't know that at the time. And used so well that it just feels like a written musical. It feels like, you know, anything else. It feels like Wicked. It feels like, you know, Little Shop of Horrors. It feels like a written musical, but no, they're using Beatles song to get to put into the story, to further the story, and it's brilliant. This is one of those brilliant times. A Day in the Life. The guitar solo, again. If Martin Luther is playing, fuck, boy, you can play, because this is like Eddie Van Halen. I fucking love Eddie Van Halen. Amazing guitarist. I know everybody has their own opinion about who is the best guitarist. I get it, and that's totally fine. We all have our own opinions. Eddie Van Halen could fucking play. And one time an ex of mine said, close your eyes. And I thought, oh, okay, fine. He knew I was a Van Halen fan. He says, close your eyes. Okay, fine. He plays me Eruption. And I'm listening to it going, and he goes, what did you think? And I said, all the notes are there, but it doesn't sound right. The notes are there, all the notes are being played, but something doesn't sound right. And he goes, really? And he goes, this is a cover, some Asian woman, girl did. And I'm like, she's doing it right. She's doing it beautiful. None of the notes sound wrong. But what's behind it? Eddie Van Halen could fucking play with his heart, and you can hear it. And something about the way he plays it, and when you listen to him play it, I knew, even with my eyes closed, no warning whatsoever, I knew there was something that's not him. There's something off. That's not him. All the notes are there. I even told him. I remember. All the notes are there, but something doesn't sound right. It wasn't Eddie Van Halen. Okay. Another great guitarist that I think of is Stills. Stephen Stills. Oh my fucking God, you can play. Like, whoa. I have a DVD of a concert Crosby, Stills, and Nash did in San Francisco. I have a DVD of it, and when he goes solo and you're just like, God, you can play, buddy. Wow. When the second time I saw them, because I've seen them twice. The first concert I ever saw was Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young in Oakland. The second time I saw them, I was living in Texas, and I saw them much older. And unfortunately, Stephen Stills had some sort of throat something, so he couldn't sing well. Sorry, guy. Sorry. He couldn't sing well. He didn't sound right. But his guitar playing was still fucking amazing. Why do I go off on that tangent? Because this guitar solo, A Day in the Life, is that fucking good. And if Martin Luther McCoy, if he did it, wow, boy, you can play. You can play. Wow. And it all feels right. The emotion that he puts into that song feels right in the part of the movie when she sees that they're building the bomb, where it's not just peaceful protesting anymore, and she's not about it. And Jude back at home just like, what the fuck am I doing here? I don't want to be here. He says, yeah, I'm happy as hell to be here, but he's not. He's not. And so those emotions both are so well captured in the emotion that he puts into that guitar playing. It's just wow. Wow. Amazing. Amazing. Okay, we're at an hour 10. I have a couple more notes. Blackbird, I don't get it. Another one of the songs, I didn't get why they used it. It doesn't make sense to me. That was not a big favorite of my... As far as the song, I had heard it once or twice. I don't think I knew it was the Beatles, but I had heard it once or twice. I heard it in this film. I was like, oh, that's the Beatles. And I don't get why they used it. For me. Hey Jude is gorgeously done. Again, it's one of those, let's just keep it simple. I know the ending turns into something bigger, but like the beginning sequence is very simple with Max and Jude in the two bars that are, one in US and one in UK. It's very simple, but the song speaks to the situation and it's perfectly used in my opinion. I love when they finally use Hey Jude. I knew it had to happen. The guy's name is Jude. You have to use that song. Come on. And when they finally did, it was a payoff. But it was a simple, nice payoff. It was really good. Don't Let Me Down. Okay, Don't Let Me Down. This is a beautiful example of... they did it earlier. When they did... I can't remember. Anyway... Dana Fuchs and Martin Luther McCoy, and Dana Fuchs sound so amazing together. And this is just another example of it when they do Don't Let Me Down. They're just beautiful together. They sound wonderful. And how do we end the film? I've already said this gorgeous. Okay, we started the film a cappella, Girl. Jim Sturgis, I'm totally going to put the Beatles on when I'm done with this review. I'm totally going to I'm just going to shuffle my Beatles album. Anyway, Jim Sturgis opens this film with an a cappella version of Girl. I love when they start the a cappella version of something, and I've already told you I wish they would have kept it a cappella or just a little bit of music, not much. But here we start. And the emotion's already there. It's every love story you've ever seen. I'm not a huge love story fan. I'm not a huge rom-com fan. But this is every love story you've ever seen. And here he's like, here's the last chance to get the girl back. The girl, that's why I'm not a big, Anyway. The last chance to get, to say, I love you. And what does he do? And it's so perfect. It literally hit me like a truck. It hit me like a truck when he started the song a cappella. Almost talking, but not quite. A little bit singing. When he started, All You Need Is Love, I just went, oh, fucking perfect. I just, perfect. Please, yes. This is how we wanted it to end. Yes, perfect. And then, then when they bring everybody else into it, it's really well done. The energy, the emotion, when they sit, they hold the cops back and then they go in and then everybody starts singing and she's trying to find her way to him and she gets caught. She can't go up, so she goes up in the other building. It's just so well done. The ending is so well done and everything I wanted, and you use the perfect song at the end. We've been through so much turmoil, and here is the point of the entire fucking film. All you need is love. And I get that they throw in Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds for the credits, but that's not part of the film. It is and it isn't. However, if you view the credits as part of the film, then it is. But I don't. We've ended the film on All You Need Is Love, and it's perfect. Love it. Okay, so if you haven't seen it, see it. I don't think I blew anything away, really. I mean, I gave some spoilers away. So if you haven't seen it, you might not get, but you'll still get it, especially if you're a Beatles fan. You'll still love it. I guarantee you. It's so well done. You can't not love it. Okay. Challenge number 22, a musical. We're going to try to get you another review as soon as possible. I know I'm behind. I keep saying this. I know I'm behind one and I need to catch up. I'm behind one. I need to catch up. So we'll do that as soon as possible. Thank you so much for listening. This was a really fun one, and I'm totally going to put the Beatles on right now. I mean, like, I'm going to make dinner and listen to the Beatles. So hopefully I can get you this video tonight. Talk to you soon. Thank you very much for listening to these. I get excited when I see my views are going up, and I love it. I'm not into the thousands like some other people, but it is fun to see, like, oh my God, something hit 50-something views. Something's hitting 20-something views. Like, oh my God. So to me, it really does. Thank you. And I'll talk to you soon.